What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the TFC Part 1 of Prometheus. This is Gumball, otherwise known as Streetwise, and yeah, it's Part 1 of the Defensor combiner that is coming from TFC, and I am super excited about Defensor because he is my favorite combiner of G1. So this is the first one, and it is a very unextraordinary looking Mustang. And yeah, PDNY as opposed to NYPD, no badges. The only way you can really tell he's honestly a cop is the light bar on there. Other than that, you know, it looks like a Mustang that someone, you know, wrote PDNY on, which is not New York Police Department at all. So, pretty boring. Fortunately, Repro Labels has just released an update for this guy, and I will definitely be getting it because it changes him entirely. In terms of rolling, he's a car. He does it great. But there are still some gripes I have with this toy, and you can see he's very much a lot of panels, and the way things tab together, he never looks completely smooth. I also have another big QC issue, and it only comes into effect when we're looking at the bottom and we're looking at the combined mode. Mine seems to be missing a piece because I can just do this. So yeah, that combiner port's not going to hold up anything. Definitely not the usual TFC fare there. So I suspect that this guy's going to need to be replaced or sent a replacement part. But yeah, that's not right. There's his head. Really nice G1 style head, so sorry, spoiled that one. He does come with this accessory here, which is pretty cool. It folds down and it plugs into the back of him here to give him his G1's weapons type thing. I will show you guys that when we transform him back to the car mode, because he's got this little combiner piece here, and you need that combiner piece to actually complete the look of the car. And you know, at first I was a little down on it because I'm like, oh man, you kind of have to parts form him, you can't lose this. But it's really not that big of a deal. That said, the instructions do say to just flip this out, and I sat there like this for a while after I put it in trying to get it to rotate, only to realize that the compartment is completely form-shaped to this piece, so there's no rotating it. You pretty much have to pull them apart in transformation, which halfway changes them before you can take it out and flip it around. So when we go back to car mode, I'm going to put this in backwards just so we can show you that, but we'll get to that after. So real quick, before we move on, let's bring out some plastics here. Here is your Lamborghini mold. You can see he's maybe a tiny bit big. He may fit in a little better with your masterpiece scale, but you know, it's not horrendously off. I think your robot mode is going to be what defines which mode you should display him in. And then of course, what would the review be if we didn't show the other Mustang? And I actually think this guy has a lot of things to try to make a classics barricade. I don't know if TFC will release a redeco, but I really feel like if I could get one for a good price, I'd like to strip all this paint and make him completely black and pick up some repro labels. And yeah, it'd be pretty awesome. Another thing of note is that these light bars here are held in by just one screw on each side. You can take them off independently, so if you did get two of these guys, you could conceivably take out the red and put a second red one on there, which is more in line with what the original Streetwise had going on for G1. And if you do know anything about cars, the original Streetwise was a Nissan Z, not a Mustang. So let's get this guy transformed, because frankly, he's not very fun in my opinion. I was disappointed with that. So let's get this process going. You have to kind of break free a bunch of tabs here before you can do much of anything, and it's not easy. You can see just how he's kind of a loose mess once, you know, everything's all cracked to pieces. So you're going to start with kind of separating it like this, and this is the hardest part of the transformation, to get it back together, but we'll get there when we turn him back. Take the back end of the car and flip those little pieces up, and you need to do that because these exhaust pieces are going to rotate on around past it. So kind of lift the legs and you can see how they're rotating right there, and that is what forms his knee. And I also am not a huge fan, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's zoom this out just a little bit. We can split this apart, and there you can see the combiner peg. You can see it's form fit locked in there. There's no twisting. Just so we don't forget, we're going to take this now and just flip it around the other way. Because we can just leave it there for robot mode. It's no real big deal. Yeah, you can take it out if you want. Come over to the feet here and kind of lift this part past and flip it all the way around. Once you get this around, flip the foot here. And I'm not a huge fan of how this foot sits. It just kind of sits here. There's no place to lock it in or anything like that, and you just kind of bring this down. So his foot's really quite recessed. You can't bring it out further without actually bringing out this piece. It would have been nice if there was maybe another hinge up here to bring it out a little bit more, but that's about all you're gonna get. So we'll do that again for the other side here. There we go. Flip this around, and if you didn't notice, I did pull out the little heel spur and close that on up like that. There we go. There's his feet. We can now take this guy, flip it around at the waist, and since we have him here, we'll go ahead and raise the camera so we can look at the top part of him. There we go. Now what you want to do is kind of loosen all this junk from the top up here and pull the arms to the side a little bit. You can see they have one of those swing joints where it's going to swing up in the position, so you just kind of want to pull it out and down just a little. And this is going to let you take the incredibly loose combiner peg on mine. You can just see how loose it is. Bring this down and come back to the front here. You can move the arms out of the way so you can see this, and pull the windshield around and flip it. That's going to let us take the head and kind of pull that up, and then you can just slide this back down and into place like so. And it doesn't really lock here, and that's another thing that kind of disappoints me. Like it's shaped for it, but it ultimately doesn't lock in any way that I can see. So his chest always feels a little bit loose. So we'll come back to the back. This combiner peg just kind of, if you have the thing right, comes down here and plugs in to make a secure connection. And I do like that they put the engine block here. That's totally a detail they didn't have to do, and you know, pretty cool. I can't fault them on that. So we'll take this, and we'll take this and put it up on his back here. And you can kind of do what you want with it. If you want to fold these bits in, or you want the front of the Mustang to show, you can. I just leave it like that, like a weird little backpack, and just kind of keep it down there like that. And then we'll take these arms and we'll rotate them down, and then extend out his arm here until it clicks. There we go. You guys didn't hear it, but I could feel it. Last time I did, I could hear it. Let's try it on the other side. There we go. Flip out his little fist. Flip the car window down. Don't cry, Streetwise. It's okay. Don't be down. I know I don't like you as much as you were hoping, but it's okay. There we go. There's Streetwise. And let's go ahead and move him back here so we can get the whole picture. Yeah, and he's not a bad figure. He does have these awful things on his head, or his shoulders here. So, you know, if he's trying to reach his arms to his side, he can perfectly shield his head from incoming fire. And, you know, his head's a little bit loose for my taste. It does like to fold down, which could have been alleviated if this chest piece would connect somehow a little more tough. But it doesn't. And yeah, I mean, he's okay. Let's talk about articulation real quick. Head is on a swivel, and that flap to go up and down, so it kind of goes in and out. Your shoulder is on this, well, it's a double jointed piece here, so you get plenty of range of motion out of that, and then the actual shoulder is on a ball joint that really is mostly limited to swivel because of how the socket is cut. Coming to the arm, we got the bicep swivel, and then we got the elbow joint, obviously. No joint down here in the forearm, no wrist articulation. And we do take this gun here and you separate these, and it does look like it's going to be a problem to get it in there, but it's perfectly shaped that you can get his gun into the what's exposed of the peg hole. So no real problems there. In fact, let's put both guns in. So yeah, that's good. Waist, you of course got the waist articulation in usual fare. You've got the swivel in and out universal type joint on these. This is weak, but this is really strong, so I don't know. I guess in car mode it's really not going to affect him very much. You come down here and you got that swivel right above the knee, but it's almost worthless because the knee itself, instead of having an extra joint, they want you to use that transformation joint there. And once you start using that, you can't actually swivel the leg. If it's swiveled at all, you can see it just kind of contacts with the body there. So there's really nothing you can do for the knee swivel. They should have just left it out, or actually what would have been best would have been to put a cut up here and let this upper thigh swivel, because this is just pretty worthless down here if you ask me. But yeah, there you go. I mean, posability is going to be pretty limited with this guy simply because of these knee joints and this, you know, awful upper body, to be completely honest. And I forgot the feet are on a ball joint, so you can, you know, swivel them as you see fit. So yeah, I mean, that's streetwise. He's okay. His articulation's not bad. So let's actually sit him next to some Classics figures, and you can see he's about the same size as your regular Classics figure. Certainly probably about the same size as Drift, who is a more recent Classics figure, not movie Drift. And here he is next to Barricade. And I bring this Barricade in because I want to point out some things that I feel are not, you know, unintentional with this figure. Mostly when you look at the sides, you got these big overhanging pieces that overhang the head. And one thing I noticed is if you actually turn this figure around and you connect this piece like this, let's just say, in fact you could split this a little if you wanted to, however you kind of feel. I like it when it's all together. We could turn the head around here. Yeah, you know what, let's split it. Let's give it a little more Barricade feel. You can of course turn the wrists the other way and turn the base of the car, and you kind of have a Classics Barricade thing going on here. If we gave him maybe a different style head or something, maybe that looks a little bit big, so we can just kind of take the edges of the Mustang and fold it on in. He's a little bit barrel chested, but I've certainly seen, you know, worse looking Transformers. And I'm sure if you really felt compelled, actually, you might be able to do it with the sets of joints that they have going on here. There might be actually some way that you can make this compress a little bit higher if you play around with it a little bit more to make, you know, Barricade. So one thing I wanted to point out before we go back to robot mode is he does have some really good light piping. The best way I can show is with the flashlight here, just based on the setup. But when he is just kind of in the light, if you're messing with him, or, you know, he's on your display shelf, he does catch the light pretty good. Just doesn't show through in this mode. So let's go ahead, or in this room I should say. So let's go ahead and get him transformed back to his car mode and we can end this review. His guns you can see just kind of peg on here, and I have no idea if they're going to be used for something more later on down the road or not. I guess we'll see. But this is a cool little accessory. I like it. So let's actually transform him back. We're going to start by folding in the little heel spurs here, lifting the chest out. We might as well go ahead and rotate it around the other way. Drop the head down, disconnect the combiner port from the car. Kind of close all this up as best we can, which doesn't matter anyway because it's going to get messed up. And make sure your head is all the way down, because if it's not, it's going to get caught on things and it's going to be a big problem. So flip this the appropriate way. And this actually threw me with a lot of problems the first time. It did it again. You can see that sometimes when I transform this, it doesn't close, so you have to kind of open it and close it again another time, and it'll swing on in. I don't know why that track doesn't seem to be perfectly created in there, but yeah, it works on both arms that way, and we should have flipped the window up first, but oh well, we didn't. So we take this, and see, there you go, again it didn't. and I can't figure it out, and pushing it harder doesn't seem to work. It's just you have to kind of mess with it, and then at some point you're gonna move it and everything kind of falls into position, and I have no idea why. See? I don't know why mine works like this. Maybe when this one is replaced, because it's gonna have to be replaced, maybe that'll be a different story, but nothing I can do will get this in normally, and then I'll just mess with it one time and it'll pop. See? Just like that. I don't know what I did different. It just slid right into place. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I do not like transforming this toy, which is sad. This is going to be like the first TFC combiner that I honestly don't care if I ever see him back in his alt mode, or his robot mode, which sucks because I think he has one of the best heads of any of the TFC toys. But anyway, so we'll swing these little arm things out, and we'll bring this up, and you can see that we have these two pegs here and the two peg holes there, and you want to kind of line this up and swing this forward, and that's going to hold the whole front of the car together, and you're going to come around top and realize that nothing is pegged in, and it's horrible. So you have to kind of unpeg it a little and get these tabs in, and honestly these tabs terrify me that they're going to break off in time, because some of them are so darn long, you know, like it's bad. And see, now the head for Streetwise is flipped up, and because of which none of this stuff will actually fit, so you have to carefully get it out of there, and then everything should fit together a bit more nicely. So we'll come around here to the back pieces of the car, and like I showed you, we reverse this, so you might as well go ahead and put this together. We'll take the feet, flip them out and around, and just kind of fold these pieces all the way around. And these top pieces do have trouble clearing the roof, so just be aware of that when you're transforming it, to make sure that they pop past as much as they need to before you like try to force them past. There we go. And we'll do it again for the other side. I really can't tell you, you know, a trick to doing it. You just kind of have to figure it out yourself as you go along. So flip it, and we have to separate these legs again, because we have more tabs that we have to contend with. So there we go. Now we can put these back together like this. Make sure our tabs don't get broken off. There we go. Squeeze it all together. These feet kind of look like they should plug in up here because of the holes in them. They don't. They just kind of go up like that. And then it's a matter of swinging this whole thing around, and then somehow trying to get this piece together with that, and there's just no clearance. It would have been really nice if there was something that pulled out like just a little to make this easier, but no, instead you have to kind of feel like you're stressing plastic a little bit, and I don't see any stress marks or anything, but you have to kind of just wiggle it all together somehow. There we go. There we go. And then once you have that, hopefully nothing else came too horribly out of whack. You just kind of peg everything together, and you can see, there we go. I got some nice clicks there as things fell in line. We got that back. We just rotate the back of the Mustang down, and there you go. He's back in his car mode with the port exposed. So you take this gun here, and you plug it on into that port. And hey look, it's his G1 weapons on the back. That's pretty darn cool. I like that. And then the last thing we can do before we get out of here for this review is we take his combiner foot, which is very cool to see. It's very much a defensor foot. I like that. And you just kind of plug him in to the foot just like you would expect. And then you come up here to the top of the car, and you have to work these enormous tabs out of here. And what you do with the front of the car is up to you. I think personally I'm just going to end up leaving it something like that to expose his leg, which is floppy. So yeah, this is Streetwise, or Gumball, whatever you want to call him, from TFC. I think he's probably one of the weakest TFC figures thus far. I'm still in for Defensor because he's absolutely my favorite combiner. So yeah, I don't know, maybe when I get a replacement for this guy because of this thing, I'll like him a little bit better, but really I think he's an exercise in frustration, and I don't particularly like him as much as I like most of the TFC toys. But I don't know, he's still fairly solid, he's just a bit more disappointing than most of the previous releases. So this is T2RX6, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will see you next week.